complaints, everything's expected. It's like it seems on the way.
My name is Paul James. I host the news every morning.
And a Golden Angel Award ceremony.
Hello, dear friends, lovely audiences. Welcome back to the show. Jack Chow on the East West show. However, with two different guests. I have the honor today of once again to have my dear friend, I could say big friend, Batty Tom Chu here on the show. Batty was the former mayor of Monterey Park. She was an educator. She was an attorney. She was a banker, or she is a banker. I don't know. Okay, all right. But she's everything. She's everything. Or sometimes even I have problems. I call her for references, and that way she's my consultant. Welcome to my show.
Thank you, Jack.
All right, very good. And next to Batty is Joy. Joy is the director at large of California Equal Rights, right? So it's a big movement, it's a big organization. And I met with her twice. This is the third time talking about this subject, proposition number 16. And I warned my audiences at the first show, the previous second, that something very terrible is happening, right? Can you please start with the same way to give us a warning why we say it is bad, why we say something very bad is happening?
Well, first of all, Jack, as in the prior segment of this show, Proposition 16 is very, very dangerous because it will have a profound effect on our Asian American community, and because of its far-reaching effect, we will not be able to enjoy the liberties that were promised to us as under the Constitution of the United States as well as the Constitution of California. And what is even worse is it brings back memories of the Chinese Exclusion Act, that because of the color of our skin, our ethnicity, national origin, and our race, that we will become discriminated against in three fields: public education, public employment, and public contracting. Since Proposition 209 in 1996, the Asian community has worked so hard from the discriminated class, where we were very insignificant numbers in all of these.
That we exactly feel about.
Yes, where we were able to make advances based upon merit and based upon the specifications that are put out in public contracting and meeting employment, work ethics, and work requirements. And what is even worse, Jack, is that this proposition is misstated on the ballot label for the November election.
Yeah, that's the key point. What did it say? What does it say on the ballot?
Well, on the ballot right now, and the Californians for Equal Rights is fighting this. That's why we are the authorized, actually the legislative members authorized us to represent the opposition. So we are the authorized coalition to oppose Proposition 16.
What does it describe on the ballot paper?
Right now, it talks about allows diversity, that this measure, Proposition 16, allows diversity. But under Proposition 209, diversity is already in practice and has enabled
there.
Yes, it's already there, and all underrepresented communities have increased their numbers in terms of public education, public employment and public contracting, although in these latter two areas we have additional work to do. But prior to Proposition 209, I know that the Asian community, particularly the Chinese community, was very underrepresented because I was only one of Chinese descent in my law school class at University of Southern California. And now, and as a woman, it also was the same. We were 4 women in the class of over 200. But nowadays, we have numbers of women equaling over or close to 50%.
Actually, that's a really good point. Women are actually overrepresented now. In CSUs, I think we're over 13% above men.
However, you take a total different view, regardless of sex, gender.
Right.
Regardless of race, regardless of whatever, just let the married talk.
Yep.
Yes.
All right. While she was talking, I kind of created myself inside a fear that our American dream is no longer there because it is being strangled.
Exactly.
For example, if I'm an Asian student in my class, my position is probably the 15th, right? Top 15. And now they have a quota for that grade, for that class, for that age group to say 13. So I'm out.
You're out.
I'm out. My dream, my parents came here with me to get the chance of I can continue dreaming my American dream. At this very point, I was cut off the chain, right? And why they do that? Because there are other classes. They have their quotas, right? When everybody moves to racial basis instead of merit basis, regarding law schools, regarding women, regarding whoever, well, the number counts.
But I think the numbers are distorted for the Chinese community and the Asian community in public education. And you know why? The reason is because of out-of-state tuition in the public universities, they are allowing more Asians from overseas to fill up that quota. So even though our numbers in the universities now say in the freshman class this year, numbers roughly in the high 30s, 30% of the mission class, a big percentage of that number are people who come over from overseas who pay 4 years of tuition in advance, and they forfeit that tuition if they don't finish 4 years, and plus their parents make huge donations.
That has nothing to do with the Proposition 16.
Yes, it
Let's
does.
concentrate. No, let's concentrate.
The
No, it
reason,
doesn't.
because our numbers, they say there are too many Asians
Oh,
in relationship
because
to
we
the
have
So we're not
population.
just
a limited
competing with
pie.
Asians here.
A limited pie here. Now, in order to get the money from abroad, though, from outside the United States, they have to restrict the area, to cut the pie, to make sure they have their quota.
So the reasons behind Proposition 16 are based on numbers that don't take that factor into consideration.
I was asking
Because-
Marc a while ago about incentives, about political motives. So this could be the motive.
Well, no. I was involved with this issue prior to the enactment of SCA 5. And I spoke to Dr. Ed Hernandez, who was my state senator.
former senator.
The former senator who was not only behind SCA 5, but behind the other two bills.
Oh, he's the author. He's
Yes.
the co-author, one of the co-authors, yes.
And I think, in my opinion, the reason why those enactments were proposed by him is because the underrepresentation of the Hispanics at that time with reference to their enrollment in the universities that are public universities. But what he does not take into consideration is that a lot of that has to do with the inadequate preparation and inadequate education that some of the underrepresented minorities have. That is the same with reference to our Asian communities, particularly those that have a disadvantage in terms of English speaking. But our Asian community expends a lot of funds in tutoring and in after-school classes to increase the ability beyond that provided by the public schools to enable our students to enable to compete on a merit basis.
And Jack, that's why.
My dear friends, okay, you ahead. Go ahead.
After Proposition 209 was enacted, that's why as these underrepresented minorities, as their numbers increased in graduating high schools, their enrollments in UCs and CSUs increased as well. And that ultimately translated to skyrocketing in terms of graduation rates. And that's why, and Leo and I talked about this the other day, which is, and that's amazing, because it doesn't matter just because we get you in based on your skin color. If you cannot graduate, then it doesn't matter, right? We need people to graduate.
But one day you can succeed with the Proposition 16, though. You can again succeed at the graduation level. You can make another proposition, say, hey, let's lower the threshold. Let all of them graduate, get a degree, goes on, and somebody can be a doctor, so on and on, with a very poor academic record, because you have this as a guideline.
Jack, under Proposition 209, which presently exists, for the incoming freshman class for the California universities and colleges.
Let's take a moment out. When we come back, we want to really stretch it out to go thorough, to go into the deep layer of the onion to see what exactly in there. So stay with us.